The True Cost of Inequality: Economic and Social Consequences in the UK. When we talk about wealth inequality in the United Kingdom, we often focus on the stark numbers, the fact that the richest 10% of households hold 44% of all wealth, while the bottom 50% just share 9%, according to the Office of National Statistics Wealth and Assets Survey 2022. But today, I want to delve deeper into something more fundamental: the true cost of this inequality to our nation, our communities, and our collective future. The United Kingdom has one of the highest levels of wealth inequality among developed nations. The OECD's 2021 Economic Survey of the United Kingdom confirmed this, placing us among the most unequal advanced economies. From the grand estates of Mayfair to the struggling high streets of former industrial towns, our country is increasingly divided not just by postcodes but by vastly different economic realities. Let's begin with the economic costs. The Bank of England's 2018 working paper, Income Inequality and Monetary Policy, and numerous economic studies have confirmed that extreme inequality creates significant drags on our national growth. When wealth concentrates in the hands of the few, consumer spending, the lifeblood of our economy, weakens substantially. While the wealthy tend to save higher percentages of their income or invest it abroad, those with less money spend nearly everything they earn within their local communities. Research from the Resolution Foundation's 2023 Wealth Gap Report shows that as inequality has grown across Britain, overall economic demand has suffered, creating a persistent weakness that affects everyone from Glasgow to Canterbury. This economic drag is particularly evident in our regional disparities. The UK 2070 Commission's final report, Make No Little Plans, documented how the concentration of wealth and opportunity in London and the South East has created a two-speed economy that wastes the potential of entire regions. The Northern Powerhouse and Levelling Up initiatives acknowledge this problem, but we must recognise that regional inequality is fundamentally linked to wealth inequality. British innovation suffers tremendously as well. Consider our proud history of invention and creativity. From the Industrial Revolution to the World Wide Web. Now think about all the brilliant minds across the UK, trapped in cycles of economic insecurity. How many potential entrepreneurs in Birmingham, scientists in Newcastle, or artists in Belfast never get the chance to develop their ideas because financial precarity consumes all their mental and emotional resources? The Joseph Rowntree Foundation in 2022 study, Poverty and Cognitive Function, has documented how poverty restricts cognitive bandwidth, effectively limiting people's ability to plan, focus, and create. The social costs are equally devastating for our nation. Research published in the British Journal of Sociology 2021 shows our communities increasingly segregate by income, creating bubbles where Britons rarely interact meaningfully with those from different economic backgrounds. From exclusive private schools to gated communities, from members-only clubs to the disappearance of truly public spaces, this separation breeds misunderstanding and erodes the social cohesion that our democracy depends upon. The NHS faces enormous pressure, partly because health outcomes worsen in unequal societies, not just for those in council housing, but across all income levels. The landmark work of Professors Richard Wilkinson and Kate Pickett in the Spirit Level 2009 and their follow-up, the Inner Level in 2018, shows that the wealthy in highly unequal countries like the UK have shorter lifespans than their counterparts in more equal societies like Sweden and Denmark. Public Health England's 2020 report on health inequalities confirmed these findings in the British context. Mental health services are particularly strained, with financial stress being a leading cause of anxiety and depression across Britain, according to the Mental Health Foundation 2023 survey. Our educational system, once imagined as the great equaliser, now often reinforces existing disparities. The Education Policy Institute's annual report 2023 shows the attainment gap between pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds and their more affluent peers begins in primary school and widens throughout their educational journey. By the time university applications come round, the playing field is anything but level. UCAS data reveals that while 85% of students from independent schools progress to higher education, the figure drops dramatically from those from the most deprived areas. Perhaps most concerning for our democracy is what happens to opportunity and social mobility. Social Mobility Commission's State of the Nation 2022 report has consistently found that Britain has some of the lowest rates of social mobility in the developed world. As wealth concentrates, so does power, political influence, educational advantage, and social capital all flow towards those who already have the most. Research from the Sutton Trust shows that from the disproportionate number of Oxbridge graduates in Parliament to the concentration of media ownership documented by the Media Reform Coalition, the result is a system where economic starting point increasingly determines your destination. The psychological toll on our national psyche is immense. The British Psychological Society's 2021 paper, Poverty, Inequality and Mental Health, shows how constant financial stress creates trauma that passes through generations in communities from the Welsh Valleys to the East End of London. Meanwhile, status anxiety rises across society as people increasingly judge their worth and others by material wealth. As documented in the work of Professor Elaine de Botton, this feeds into our national health crisis, with NHS Digital reporting a 44% increase in referrals to mental health services between 2016 and 2021. Our housing crisis perfectly illustrates the cost of inequality. The Institute for Fiscal Studies Housing Outlook 2023 shows that as property has become an investment vehicle for the wealthy rather than simply shelter, entire generations of young Britons face the prospect of never owning their own home, a stark departure from their parents' experience. According to Nationwide Building Society, the average house price is now around 8 times the average annual salary. Compared to just 4.5 times in the 1990s, the UK Housing Review 2023 shows this housing inequality creates a new form of feudalism, with wealth transferred from renters to property owners, further entrenching the existing disparities. The environmental costs are significant too. Studies from the Environmental Justice Foundation shows that areas with higher levels of deprivation in the UK suffer from worse air quality, less access to green spaces, and greater vulnerability to climate impacts. Public Health England's 2020 report, Improving Access to Green Space, confirms that from flood-prone council estates to urban heat islands in deprived areas, inequality shapes even our experience of the environment. Crime and social unrest increase in more unequal societies. The Home Office's own research, alongside academic work from the London School of Economics Centre of Economic Performance, shows that riots that periodically erupt in British cities, from Brixton to Tottenham in the summer disturbances of 2011, have a complex causes. That research consistently shows links between inequality, lack of opportunity, and social disorder. The Ministry of Justice's figures reveal that the cost of policing, criminal justice, and incarceration represents billions of pounds that could be invested elsewhere. But here's what gives me hope for our nation. These costs aren't inevitable. They're the result of choices, policy choices, business choices, and social choices that we as Britons have the power to change. Countries like Finland, Denmark, and even our neighbours in Ireland have demonstrated that advanced economies can thrive while maintaining lower levels of inequality. The World Inequality Database shows that from progressive taxation to investment in public services, from affordable housing policies to robust worker protections, we have models that work. Our own history shows periods where Britain successfully reduced inequality. The Institute for Fiscal Studies historical data reveals the post-war consensus that created the NHS, expanded public housing, and invested in education produced not just a more equal society, but decades of broadly shared prosperity. The question isn't whether such approaches can work. The evidence shows us they already have. By understanding the true cost of inequality to Britain, we can begin to see why addressing it isn't just about fairness or abstract moral principles. It's about creating a more functional, prosperous society for everyone, from Land's End to John O'Groats. The legacy of British political thought, from Thomas Paine to William Beveridge, reminds us that a good society cares for all its members. The British Social Attitude Survey consistently shows that our greatest national achievements, from the NHS to the BBC, came from a vision of shared prosperity and common good. The question facing Britain today isn't whether we can afford to address the inequality. As the New Economics Foundation 2022 cost-benefit analysis of inequality reduction policies demonstrates, the question is, can we afford not to? I really appreciate the support I've had so far from the people I've shown this to and with the groups I've shared this to. If you enjoyed this video, your support sharing this with your friends and families, colleagues and groups would go such a long way for me to keep doing this. I really tried hard to provide more references and information regarding my statements here, as that's some feedback I've had, and not to use AI images, as that seems to be the enemy of all that's sacred on YouTube. Please comment below if you preferred that style, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this. I really appreciate it.